And my question really is, do you ever think something like that could happen again? If Donald Trump, God forbid, was shot again, do you think he would get rolled into an operating room or something like that, and he could look up and say, I hope all you guys are Republicans. I hope all you guys are MAGA. And the doctors will look down at him and say, Mr. President, today we're all MAGA. Today we're all Republicans. How divided our country has become. And it's hard to figure out how you're going to make nice with somebody when the other side is determined to kill you. Over the weekend, this radical activist, Jonathan Cho, found him because this guy was apparently hassling Cam Higbee over at the University of Washington campus. Cam Higbee, independent journalist, did something very, very brave over the weekend. We talked about this on Friday. He went out to the University of Washington campus, set up a table, and wanted to have conversations with people. And this one guy tore up his sign, tore it off his little table that he had. And Jonathan Cho wanted to find out who he was. Turns out this lunatic has a hit list on pretty much anybody who's anybody in the conservative movement around here. On Cam, on Jonathan, on Brandy. I'm wondering why I didn't make the list. Not that I want to be on this guy's list. Maybe he's got another one. Maybe on... Look, I clearly know I'm on other people's lists around here. How do you make nice with people who want to kill you? You know, when somebody like Ruth Bader Ginsburg dies, we played that clip for you with Donald Trump the other day. Here's what happened when Trump found out Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. Music is from an event in the background.
She just died? Wow. I didn't know that. You're telling me now for the first time. She led an amazing life. What else can you say? She was an amazing woman. Whether you agreed or not, she was an amazing woman who led an amazing life. I'm actually saddened to hear that. I am saddened to hear that. Thank you very much.
That's it. That's all you have to say. That's it. Move on. That music, as Mike and I legislated the other day, was coming from the event itself. It's not added to the track there.
I was going to say, not a bad choice, though.
Oh, no, it works great for that. It really, really does. But no, that was from the event itself. I think Trump had just finished up a Trump rally or was going to a Trump rally when he got that news. It's that simple. It's that easy. And yet so many people want to make a fight over it. I saw over the weekend, and I haven't gotten a statement yet from UW Medicine, but there's a guy at UW Medicine wishing death on all of us. There's a guy at UW Medicine who wants Ben Shapiro to be next. When you take the Hippocratic Oath, do no harm, you know what that means, right? How could you possibly provide care for anybody if half the people who come into your hospital, you say, nope, this person should be dead because I disagree with them politically. So on Friday, I asked all of you, if you heard about some place which wasn't lowering the flag, let us know. I was inundated, absolutely inundated, with schools, with government agencies that weren't lowering the flag, even for September 11th, because they're so full of vitriol. Now, some of this was bureaucratic stupidity, and some of it was deliberate. The Kent School District in Washington we reached out to, we got a tip from a friend of ours, and they confirmed it was intentional not to follow the directives, to lower the flag for Charlie Kirk. But not just that. Remember we got all mad because Turd Ferguson last weekend said, well, I don't want to just have Charlie Kirk on there. So he added Democrats who were killed by Democrats in Minnesota. Juvenile, but okay. And then you should ask why Bob Ferguson cares about this now, didn't care about it when they were actually shot in June, but okay, fine. At least he did it. But this Kent School District, they said, nope, we're not participating to people who called. Then they issued a statement. They issued a statement in an email that we got a copy of. First, they issue orders to all their staff. All flags must be raised to full mast. They deliberately did that. Then they issued a statement called Upholding Our Values, a statement on flag protocol and ethical leadership. The Kent School District is committed to upholding our core values of equity, excellence, and community. On September 11th, Kent School District's flags were lowered to half-staff in solemn remembrance of the lives lost and the courage shown that day. a tradition we honor with deep respect. Different governmental entities have different policies regarding flag displays. Blah, 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 Washington state law, blah, 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 blah. The law does not require us to lower the flag to half-staff in any particular instance, nor when another government entity may choose to do so. As educators and public servants, we believe symbolic acts, such as lowering the flag, should reflect the principles we work to instill in our students and community. When a person has made statements that conflict with the values of inclusivity, respect, and student safety that we as a district strive to uphold, we may choose not to fly the flag at half-staff. Our decision reflects both our compliance with Washington state law and our unwavering commitment to ethical leadership and educational equity. You want me to blow a hole in this right now? So Charlie Kirk promoted Judeo-Christian values, and you're not lowering the flag. So right off the bat, you're not being inclusive of anybody who has those values. Right off the bat, you're not being inclusive of anybody who has conservative values. And let me ask you a question, guys. Where do our rules for morality come from? Our rules for morality come from the Bible. Guess what? Do not kill. Do not steal. Do not commit adultery. Why are all those things on the list of laws we have? Because that's where our moral code comes from. Even if you're an atheist, that is our moral code where we decided it's wrong to kill. It's wrong to steal. It's wrong to do all these things. We should respect our parents. It all comes from that. So automatically you're saying we don't care about any of those values whatsoever, and we're going to be juvenile. Here's the other thing. One of the school board members messaged me, and this is a person with pronouns in their bio. So I thought this was interesting, this email I got when I sent a request for comment. Mr. Hoffman, they told me. I like it when people call me Mr. Hoffman. I look for my grandfather. So when they said Mr. Hoffman, they said basically that the superintendent had done this without checking with the school board. Well, there's a school board meeting coming up later this month, and I recommend those of you in Kent show up to tell them exactly how you feel about this. But when you do something as juvenile as that, what does it hurt you to have the flag up? What you're saying is, nope, we disagree with this person existing, is what you're saying with something that juvenile. Something like that. Gets worse. We're building here. A Washington State high school principal has announced he is stepping away from his role after posting a controversial message on social media mocking the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Eric McDowell, principal of the North Creek High School in Bothell, drew backlash after sharing an Instagram story that read, "Thoughts and prayers, too bad gun control would have been far more effective had he been alive. Maybe thoughts and prayers will work. Oops, nope." That's what he posted. The now deleted post included a picture of Kirk with the caption, "Pray for Charlie Kirk." The Instagram post triggered multiple complaints from parents and community members, and on Thursday, the North Shore School District issued a public statement acknowledging the controversy without naming the teacher. Now, what happened then is McDowell sent a letter to parents and staff saying he was stepping away from his role in response to the backlash. You know what that probably means. The district said, "Dude, what the hell is wrong with you? We didn't want to be dealing with this firestorm. Just take a break for a little while, come back, and maybe they'll forget about it." I set the Ari Hoffman reminder in my phone. Every month, I will be checking in with the North Shore School District, find out what the story with this guy is. He said, "I truly mean it when I say I condemn all political violence, including the cold-blooded assassination of Charlie Kirk." That's not what you said 5 minutes ago. My post, sent as a private citizen on my personal Instagram account from my home, that doesn't matter. You still said it. Was meant to decry the lack of any forward progress on ending gun violence in America. Yeah, sure. It was not meant to demean the murder of Mr. Kirk. You literally did it, dude. I truly wish what happened to Charlie Kirk did not happen. He did not deserve to be shot or killed. You just said he did. You literally just said he did. I definitely could have said things differently, and I apologize, he said. Despite this, I have no intent whatsoever to inflame the current political environment. I own the impact that my post has had. I will be stepping away as principal for North Creek for the time being to reflect and ensure the focus remains on the school and our students. You know why people are getting so mad about this? It's not a cancel culture kind of thing. That's not what's happening. You have people who are celebrating murder. People who are celebrating murder on social media. That's the issue. That's the problem. And people just don't want to talk about that. They want to say, oh, it's cancel culture. I thought you Republicans hated cancel culture. I thought you conservatives hated cancel culture. No. How can you be a doctor when you're calling for the death of somebody? How could you be a principal when you're saying, screw it, half the kids, half the parents in my institution don't matter? Something is fundamentally broken here. Fundamentally broken. But I want to give you a little help. I want to give you a little strength. But before I give you a little strength, I want to show you the extreme with this here. There's a new video coming out from multiple news agencies, and the narrative's starting to change from the left already, which is basically, it's Charlie Kirk's fault he got shot because of what he said. That's not what we believe here in the United States of America. We believe everybody has the right to say whatever thing they want, whatever it is. That's freedom of speech. It's number one in our Constitution. It is right there, the First Amendment. But this is the pivot they are making. By the way, the parallels between this and what we've seen after October 7th are striking to me. So, the day after October 7th, or the day of October 7th, oh my God, this is awful, this is horrible, we should condemn. Then the next day, as if it was organized, it was, well, the Jews had it coming. Well, Israel had it coming. You're seeing the exact same thing from the exact same people. Well, Charlie Kirk had it coming. Well, conservatives had it coming. Well, Republicans had it coming. You're seeing the exact same thing. Except, let me give you that little strength I promised you. On Friday night, my daughter had a bunch of her friends over for her birthday. And they're sitting around talking. And for those of you who don't have teenage daughters or have not had teenage daughters or plan on having teenage daughters, let me tell you something. When there's a gaggle of girls, they just sit there and yap. And me and my wife were basically spectators at our own dinner table. That's what it was. For those of you who are Music Man fans, peek a little, talk a little, peek a little, talk a little, cheep, talk a lot, peek a little. That's basically what it was the whole time. And I hear one of them, they had just seen Erica Kirk's address. And one of them says, oh, that was so sweet. It was so powerful. She's so amazing. She's so incredible. And no, I did not put them up to what happened next. I did not. I promise you I did not. My wife and I just kind of smiled at each other. We should start a Turning Point USA chapter at our school. Oh my God, yes. Dad, can we go to the conventions? Dad, what does that mean to start a... And you can imagine how that went. Her friends came over on Saturday night to fill out the paperwork so they could have a Turning Point chapter at their school. They got 37,000 requests for Turning Point chapters since that speech. 37,000 for people who are booking tickets to America Fest right now. That's going to be happening in Phoenix, Arizona in December. The hotels have gone through the roof. The air travel has gone through the roof. This really was a turning point. And as horrible as the stuff is that you're seeing, I think it's being pushed to the outskirts because I think that Trump's election was the revenge of the normies. And I think what you're seeing here is people said, we had enough of this. I'm putting together a montage, and I collected a whole bunch of clips over the weekend. We'll probably have this for you tomorrow. Of all these people who went on social media and said, I'm leaving the Democrat Party, I'm leaving the Democrat Party, I'm leaving the Democrat Party. Even in my own synagogue, people were coming up to me over the weekend. And people were saying, I think this made me a conservative. I think this made me a Republican because I can't believe what the other side is saying. I can't believe the people I thought I aligned with was saying. That's where we're getting to. So as bad as things seem right now, as horrible as things seem online right now, I think the next generation isn't putting up with this nonsense anymore. When we come back, my friends, lots more to discuss, including this insane story out of Seattle, where a homeless guy is now under arrest for allegedly raping a 5-year-old girl in a city-funded tent encampment. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. I love how this weekend this report comes out on Sunday. Hey, Seattle's had a homicide-free month. Wow, a homicide-free month. Not for lack of trying, by the way. How many near-fatal stabbings have there been on mass transit? How many attempted murders have there been? How many gunshots have been fired around here? You're just lucky that nobody's dead from that yet. Not for a lack of trying. So I see this thing, which is what Seattle officials are saying. Look, no homicides. You literally had a guy almost stabbed to death on a bus. 3 days after, another guy was almost stabbed to death on a bus. That's not the win you think it is, guys. No homicides. Had lots of other stuff, but no homicides. Are you kidding me with this? Really? So let me tell you the latest horrible story, which we saw on Saturday night from the Seattle Police Department scanner. This is a Twitter account which monitors everything from 911. And what they said was there had been a guy arrested at Tent City 3 for allegedly raping a 9-year-old girl. Turns out that wasn't true. He was arrested for allegedly raping a 5-year-old girl in his tent in a city-funded encampment. Now, Tent City 3 is operated by Share/Wheel, which are part of Homeless Inc. Tent City 3 has had lots of problems near it. Nearby stabbings, nearby shootings. The neighbors complain about it all the time because wherever one of these things gets set up, what always accompanies it? Tons and tons and tons of crime. I was wondering if they were a low-barrier encampment. A low-barrier encampment means you can bring your drugs, you can bring your alcohol, you can bring whatever it is you want. Nobody does background checks, anything. Well, this guy apparently has a record. It's an older record. It's an older code, sir, but it checks out. This guy does have a record going back a while, and I wonder why nobody said, why does he have a kid with him? This guy doesn't have a kid. It turns out one of the residents in the encampment called the police and said, this kid does not belong to him. That's an exact quote, by the way. So now you've got this guy. The suspect's name is Viensang Budavong, 46 years old. What was he doing as a 5-year-old? Where did he get the 5-year-old from? The girl told officers, according to the documents that we got a hold of from the King County Prosecutor's Office, that she had been touched inappropriately and said she was in pain in certain areas. Why do you think that is? They found her in his tent in the city-funded encampment. How much longer are we going to let this insanity go on for? Oh, but it's a self-governing encampment. They watch each other. They watch themselves. Watch them say, oh, see, the system worked because one of the other campers reported the person. This is what your taxpayer dollars are funding. Crime in these encampments. This guy is being held on bail for $750,000. Now, my question is, do you think that Seattle is ever going to learn its lesson? Do you think that King County is ever going to learn its lesson? Because you know who these guys get money from? Not just Seattle. They get it from the King County Regional Homeless Authority. You know what should have happened today? Bruce Harrell should have come out on the steps of City Hall, and he should have held a press conference. He says, we're doing an audit of Homeless Inc. We want to know how all these institutions, how all these nonprofits operate, because how could something like this happen? Who's watching the front gate of this place? What, people just come and go so you can bring a 5-year-old girl to your tent and then allegedly rape her? You kidding me with this? That's what he should have done today, but you know why he won't do it? Because he's a coward. He knows that if he goes and does that, the left will say, you're not compassionate to homeless people. Just because one guy does something like this doesn't mean they're all like that. How many does it take? Do we need to go back to 2018 with the first major case of this where a woman was raped in a car dealership in Ballard? Do we need to go back to during the pandemic when a woman was attacked in the King County Courthouse because there was an encampment nearby and some guy managed to get into the King County Courthouse? How many of these things is it going to take? How many is it going to take until people say, we have a real problem and we are not dealing with it? In fact, we are funding it. For how much longer can you say, we're doing outreach, and instead all you're doing is bringing around condoms All you're doing is bringing around drug paraphernalia. Oh, you need a crack pipe? Here's a crack pipe. And socks. By the way, that's the goofiest thing. For some reason, they're always bringing around socks with all this stuff. You want some needles? Have some needles. No problem. It's your tax dollars that are paying for all of this. Authorities determined there was probable cause to charge him with investigation of first-degree rape of a child and first-degree kidnapping. He was booked in the King County Jail. Now, how many other monsters are living on your taxpayer dollars in these encampments? This isn't going to change until everybody says no more of this. And it's not about electing Democrats and not electing Democrats. At any of these forums, has anybody asked the question? They're having all these forums with Mayor and Katie Wilson. I haven't played a single one of them for you, not one. Because there's nothing there. There's no there there. They're not saying anything real. And nobody's asking any real questions. First question out of the gate. 5-year-old girl was raped in one of these city-funded encampments. What are you going to do to ensure that never happens again? Is that so hard? That's not an unfair question. This has been going on for the better part of 2 decades. At what point do people stand up and say no more of this insanity? By the way, I don't think anything in this city is working right. So we know about all the firefighters that were terminated because of the COVID vax. We know about all the firefighters who left the Seattle Fire Department because they were tired of dealing with all the drug problems and the crime and being attacked and being assaulted and having bricks thrown at the rigs and having people try to steal the fire trucks. Having fires be intentionally set so that the fire department would show up so that these vagrants could steal equipment. Had enough of the fire chief ordering them to surrender equipment to terrorists who had taken over 6 blocks of Seattle. At what point do you say, we're out of here? Well, now they have this massive fire up on Beacon Hill over the weekend. This massive fire which damaged 4 houses and there were injuries. This massive brush fire. Now, according to the Seattle Fire Department, because I did reach out to ask them, this was not caused by a homeless encampment. That's what they're saying, even though I know there's several nearby. But sources inside the Seattle Fire Department have told me that the problem here and the reason this thing spread so fast, it's not particularly dry outside. We don't have wildfires this year. What's going on? They may not have had enough firefighters responding to the issue. They may not have had enough staff to respond to the fire. And that's why it grew out of control. And then they had a massive staff response after that, where they called in everybody from nearby they possibly could. If you were on I-90 yesterday, you could see it. If you were on I-5 yesterday, you could see this thing. You could see smoke billowing for miles. 2 people were treated on the scene and sent to hospital for further treatment, but were in stable condition with non-life-threatening injuries. A firefighter was also treated for a minor injury, but was able to return to working the fire. You got to ask yourself how something like this got so big so quickly. I asked myself that very question. It's not particularly dry out. How'd this fire get so big? If we confirm that it was because they didn't have enough staff, you got to ask yourselves, at what point are they going to hire back all the people they fired? How many of the people they fired are still even around to hire back? Lawsuits against the firefighters, for the firefighters against the city are still going on because they want their back pay. They want their jobs back. You could fix this today if you wanted to and help solve your staffing crisis at the same time. I've also been getting reports that the fire department is washing out record amounts of people who come to work for them. Why? Because there's just not enough qualified people applying. You have to be able to carry a certain amount of weight. You have to know the inside of a building, how a building works. You have to know certain things to be a firefighter. But unfortunately, they're washing out all these people because they get all these unqualified applicants because it's just, do you check a box? Great. So you have some little 4'10" woman trying to carry something up a flight of stairs or up a ladder. It just ain't gonna happen. There's a reason when you see firefighters, they are giants. When you see them in the grocery store, when you're picking stuff up, I feel like a little munchkin because I'm a 5'9" Jewish guy. And you see those firefighters walking by. This could be so easy to solve, but they don't want to solve it. Scoggins doesn't want to solve it. Harold doesn't want to solve it. These are easy problems to solve. And yet instead we just keep going down the bad road, the bad path. When we come back, my friends, J.D. Vance took over the microphone for Charlie Kirk today. What did he say? What did he do? How'd it go? And is this the future of the show? We'll give you all the details when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Over the weekend, J.D. Vance announced that he was going to be filling in for the Charlie Kirk. Oh, I got to say that. Sorry. This is going to be the Swamp segment. Plays at 3:30 and 5:30 today. Over the weekend, Vice President J.D. Vance put up a picture of an empty chair somewhere, I think, in the West Wing or the building across the street from the White House with a microphone and announced that he was going to be filling in for the Charlie Kirk show. The left immediately went bonkers. How dare he? He can't do that. Do you know what the Constitution says about the Vice President of the United States? They basically just have to have a pulse. They basically just have to be alive in case something happens to the president. Whatever a vice president, be it J.D. Vance, be it Kamala Harris, be it Joe Biden, whatever a vice president does with their time is very, very immaterial to anything in our country. Now, if they get assigned things by the president, that's at the president's discretion. If they get asked to do things, basically all they have to do is oversee Congress. So if you're not overseeing Congress or it's somebody else's turn to do Congress, why not do an hour of your day on a podcast? Who cares? He's not making money off the thing. If it's some kind of ethical violation where J.D. Vance then goes in a corner and starts making money off the Charlie Kirk show for the rest of the term, I think that's going to be bad for him electorally. I do, because people say, dude, you did a podcast the whole time. Doing one day, everybody needs to chill out. Everybody needs to chill out. And by the way, this comes back to now Vance derangement syndrome. This is what we have now. The guy cannot win no matter what. He is filling in for his friend. They were clearly very, very close. Reminds me of something the president said last week.
We got 200 people that left their jobs in order to come into the administration. And the Democrats are blocking and some of them are great. If I had George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, they came back from the dead, and they wanted to go into the administration, Schumer would not approve that.
They're doing a nuclear option, right? They're going to put about over 100 through?
We have some things that are very powerful that in many ways you'd like not to do it, but I'm okay. I'm okay. These are obstructionists. These are agitators and obstructionists, the Democrats.
Do you remember how during the campaign they tried to say, well, J.D. Vance is weird? Meanwhile, Tim Walz is the weird one, Tampon Tim. They didn't want to talk about that at all, right? They just, J.D. Vance, he's so weird, he's so weird, he's so weird. Give me a break. It's absolute nonsense. J.D. Vance is the American story. Basically grew up in a really rough house, managed to make good on himself, joined the military, went to Yale, became a senator, and became vice president of the United States, and they are terrified of him. Terrified of him. Now, I wasn't thrilled. His first guest was Tucker Carlson. Speaking of people who've gone completely ballistic these days, I don't know if he's on Qatar's payroll or what, but fine. J.D. Vance wanted to honor his friend, and that's what he did, and the left needs to chill out. By the way, the left is nobody talking. You're mad at J.D. Vance for doing a podcast. You're not mad about the fact that Kathy Hochul just endorsed Zoran Mamdani. By the way, I would love to see Kathy Hochul's internal polling. Kathy Hochul wants to be governor of New York for another term, but she's going to be challenged by Elise Stefanik, the congresswoman from New York, and people like Stefanik a lot more than they like Hochul. So the thing is, any Democrat who is holding by their fingertips onto power is petrified of the far left. And especially New York, they are petrified of Mamdani. Because right now, because everybody in the entire country is talking about this guy, his polls show he has an 83% chance of winning. Not that he's going to get 83% of the vote, but an 83% chance of winning, because at this point, he's all anybody's talking about. Most people don't even remember that Cuomo's in the race. Even if Eric Adams and Curtis Sliwa drop out of the race tomorrow, you still have Cuomo, who killed a whole bunch of people's grandparents. Maybe if he hadn't done that during COVID, there might be some people left to vote for him. But at this point, right now, Mamdani has a ton of money that is coming in from outside New York. A ton of it. The majority of his donations are coming in from outside New York. And Democrats are saying, we got to get on this train. Not, why is all this money coming in from outside New York for this guy? Why is all this money coming in from outside the country for this guy? Instead, they're going, well, we want to stay in power. Please let us stay in power. We really, 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 really want to stay in power. That's what they want. That's all they want. So Elise Stefanik is probably a bigger threat to Kathy Hochul than anybody realizes. So Kathy Hochul is probably looking at internal polling and going, oh, crap, I'm going to lose, and I'm going to lose bad. So I got to find a way to get the Mamdani Knights to like me. You know what the dirty secret is? You can never be left enough for the far left. You can't be. Kathy Hochul, who's just a wet blanket Democrat, they're not going to see her as one of these radicals like Zoran Mamdani. They're not going to support her. But people like Chuck Schumer, people like Jerry Nadler, all these guys, Jerry Nadler probably thought, well, if I endorse Mamdani, then maybe I have a chance of staying in office. And the left said, no way, old man. We don't like you because you're Jewish. Get out of there. And he still endorsed Mamdani. This is the bigger threat, and they're worried about J.D. Vance. That's what they're worried about? Are you kidding me with this? And by the way, all these Democrats who over the weekend were saying, talking this way about the other side, maybe we... wait, I'm sorry. Did any of them actually say that? No, they all said we need to turn down the temperature. We need to bring down the temperature. Did any of them actually call out the insanity you're seeing? The only one who did, the only one still, John Fetterman. Can't find a Fetterman. He's the only one I've seen do this anywhere. I mean, Kevin, this is something that's still mind-boggling to me. How much we're like, no, this guy can't be in office. No, he's going to be terrible. No, he's a socialist. And turns out to be the best one of all of them because it turns out he's a classic liberal. I don't know if that's the head injury or something else, but I don't know if it's the stroke. But the guy's a classic liberal. And I think the problem is that right now you see Republicans going out there and saying, hey, we want to have conversations. You see Cam Higbee going to the University of Washington campus. You see other people having vigils. Did anybody burn any cars over the weekend? Anybody loot any stores over the weekend? Anybody die over the weekend? I haven't seen any of that happen, but I remember the left. I remember the left during George Floyd. Every single one of them had to say, oh, we're going to stop racial violence and we're going to stop racial discrimination. Somebody made a montage today. It's a visual daily double, as we would say. It's not an audio one, where it's all the companies, all the big companies, even Lego, what they all posted after George Floyd. Did any of them post that after Charlie Kirk? Who are you idolizing here? Do you remember all the Democrats taking a knee, kneeling for racial justice in Congress? I don't think any Republican wants anybody to take a knee before them. We kneel before God. But at the same time, you see how out of whack everybody's priorities are. So they'll kneel for a guy who was a drug dealer and a counterfeiter who held a gun to a pregnant woman's stomach, but not for a guy who was promoting Judeo-Christian biblical values. Not a guy who was promoting conservative values. That's how much they hate the other side. It's absolutely crazy. You really want this to stop? Then people need to start calling it out. It's not enough to just write a statement on social media. And by the way, that goes for us too. I hate to say the right is culpable in this because we didn't kill anybody. But at the same time, what we're doing is calling it out. Oh, you said you're against violence. You said you're all for compassion. You say we're not compassionate. Well, then how come you're calling for people to die and you're a doctor? How many of these cases are we going to continue seeing? It's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Listen to Hakeem Jeffries. Hakeem Jeffries here is talking about the woman who was killed on the subway right before Charlie Kirk was murdered, when she was killed by the prolific offender. Listen to how he talks.
Right. It's a horrific situation. And we should continue to examine thoughtful and decisive ways to drive down crime in the United States of America. In my view, we have to support local law enforcement, not cut grants to local law enforcement, which is what House Republicans have done. Support local law enforcement, decisively surge resources into addressing mental illness, make sure we can get as many dangerous weapons off the street as possible, and find new and creative ways to secure the safety of the American people who take mass transportation. I grew up in Brooklyn taking mass transportation, beginning in the 6th grade. That's what people in New York do. There are no buses going back and forth to school. Beginning in the 6th grade, children taking trains, as I did, or buses to get back and forth to school. Children, that's what we do in New York City. So this is a personal issue. We definitely need to continue to do everything we can to safely secure the American people, but certainly to secure the American people who rely upon mass transportation.
So he opens by attacking Republicans and then talking about dangerous weapons. It was a knife, dude. You want to start banning knives? The other stuff is pretty bland and pretty normal sounding. And it should be, hey, you know what? We should enforce the law. Then why are you mad about ICE? Then why are you mad about the National Guard? Then why are you mad about actually enforcing the law? The problem is, even when he says something normal, I don't believe anything he says. Because the problem is his track record has gone for supporting absolute insanity, supporting crime. We got a whole lot more to discuss as the show continues, my friends, including YouTube decided it'd be a good idea to shut down my account this weekend because I posted a video with a pastor talking about Charlie Kirk. Tell you all about it when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.